This is Mona Lisa Baseball, Season 6. How are you feeling about baseball right now? How are you feeling about Major League Baseball right now? Go ahead and take this question in and think about it for yourself. Don't get too caught up in, well, I guess the game is quicker, so I guess it's better, and I guess the game is growing, so that's good, right? I want you to go deep into your gut and tell me how you are feeling about it right now. Being that it's Season 6, it means that I started this project over 5 years ago. And in short, I could just tell you that a lot has happened. My first recording was in March 2021. And I was very ecstatic that the National League Major League Baseball decided that the National League was going to resume having the pitchers hit after the COVID season. Oh my God. I was so thankful. Well, a lot's happened since then. And I think we've made a pretty compelling case that baseball is not in a better spot than it was 5 years ago after changing many rules. It was stated that once you move a few things around and it's not quite flourishing, then the temptation to continue changing things around will continue until you get a house of cards that is not standing anymore. Now, everything I've heard from the media, from the public is, yeah, it's good enough. Yeah, I think it's better. But I want to tell you just exactly how bad it is for me right now. We are in summer 2026. I've gone through a situation that would have been completely inconceivable any part of my teens, 20s, I'll even say 30s. Completely inconceivable thing has happened, and it's happening right now. And I realize it's going on during the off season and during the first half of the 2026 season. I'll start this description with a bag of peanuts. I'm sure you've been in grocery stores and they advertise San Francisco Giants peanuts, Oakland A's, Sacramento A's peanuts, salted, Los Angeles Dodgers peanuts. Well, they're all made by the same company. And as part of an experiment, I said, you know what? I've been to more A's games than Giants games in the last 5 years. Let me try out the A's peanuts. They tasted the same. Now, if you're a diehard Dodgers fan, you might want to run for the toilet. You might want to grab a bag with a thick bottom, maybe not a paper bag. I bought a blue Los Angeles Dodgers bag of peanuts just to see what happens. Yeah, on my front porch, eating a blue bag of peanuts with the Dodgers logo on it. I did that. This reminded me in 1993, the Giants were off to a very hot start. It was the first year they had Barry Bonds, and the Atlanta Braves were really good. But the Giants were off to such a hot start that they were ahead of the Braves for the majority of the season. They ended up losing out of the playoffs by a game to the Braves, 104 wins to 103 wins. And could have been a summer day just like this one. I was doing some chores at my parents' house. As a young teenager, listening to the Giants game, and was really enjoying an 8-0 lead against what I believe was the Phillies. And the Phillies started to chip away and chip away and chip away. The Giants ended up losing that game. The pain that I felt didn't only last that day. It kind of continued throughout the season from that one loss, thinking, I really just hope that one doesn't come back to bite us. And they ended up missing the playoffs by a game with 103 wins. The reason I set that up is because what I'm about to tell you is true. I'm not proud of it. I'm sorry I have to tell you this. But it's even a little bit worse than I don't really care about the Giants anymore. It's quite a bit worse. I caught myself on a drive rooting against the Giants. And at first I was thinking, oh, it's because I don't really care. The powers that be that are in charge of baseball are changing it to a degree I can't even root for it anymore. But then I really, really thought about it, and I said, no, I'm rooting against them. I'm rooting against the Giants. So how did this happen? In season 1, I made some sort of statement, which was, if baseball decides to eliminate pitchers batting and allow designated hitters in the National League, or if they go robo-ump, that's it for me. Major League Baseball has lost me as a fan. I even described it to the degree of the end of the Tarantino movie Death Proof. Baseball will be dead in me as that boot ends Death Proof kicking through Kurt Russell's head. That's the death. And then in 2022, National League allowed the designated hitter. Well, was that the death? It wasn't exactly, because that was season 2 of Mona Lisa Baseball. I've read a lot of books since then. I've done a lot of studying about the game. I've learned more than I really thought was possible. It changed the way I look at the sport. And I just told you that I've been rooting against the Giants. Well, not exactly. It's almost as if I want them to feel the pain that I've felt. Do you know how disappointed I am in the Giants for allowing the designated hitter to come into the National League? I blame them because they're my team. Maybe similar to how Dodger fans or Giants fans blame the team for moving them from New York to California. It's your team, so you blame them. I might not give a shit if the Cardinals decided to, let's go designated hitter. But the fact that the Giants agreed to it, and without being in the back rooms, none of us really know how it all went down, who voted on what. But they let it happen. And I'll remind you, if any team in baseball wanted to play without designated hitters, the rulebook doesn't prevent them from doing so. And if the Giants did that, I'd be wholeheartedly rooting for the Giants. There would be a chance of baseball coming back. But right now, it's hardball. So not only am I enjoying eating Dodger peanuts, I don't catch myself rooting against the Dodgers, but I do against the Giants. How up is that? I'm saying this to everybody who's listening that's known me since I was a kid. How up is that? I'm living with it. Now, we've said that the point of this show was to get to the heart of the matter. So I had to come clean and tell you this. It has gotten that bad. The boot went through my forehead. I don't think anything could tell it better. Oh, I'm upset. I'm this, the other. I'm rooting against the Giants. I recently got to talk to my dad, and I asked him what's going on with the Giants, and they're terrible. They're just terrible. They're not good at anything. Not really good at hitting. Their defense sucks. Their bullpen is just atrocious. Anytime they have a lead, they give it up. He was very disappointed. And then he said, the problem is they can't sign any good hitters. No one wants to come here. San Francisco has been a destination for people for quite a long time. Is it the ballpark? Is it the city? Is it the politics? Is it the management? Is that actually true that they can't sign a good player? Now, they traded for Devers and signed him to maybe the most egregious contract in baseball history. You can make that argument for a lot of people, but why would Devers deserve that much money? But more interesting than Raffy Devers, have the stats become more important to a ball player than playing hard or winning? It's more important for their statistics that when other people look them up, they say, oh, he was good. Not if you won on the field. That's really, really disturbing to me. I remember winning a game in Pony League. I think I was 14. We won. Cubs beat the A's. And I went 0 for 4. And I was devastated. And my dad's friend at the end of the game goes, what are you so upset about? You guys won. That's a selfish 14-year-old. But these are professional athletes. The thought that a lefty might not go to San Francisco because they wouldn't hit as many homers as they might hit in another park, I don't know. There's something incredibly dangerous about that. And briefly, while we're on the topic of home runs, why does Vladimir Guerrero have 4 homers at the halfway point? I don't want to do predictions anymore. I had to stomach the fact that I had just called him the mega bust and watch him go on a playoff tear and was probably, I don't know, an out away from being the World Series champion and MVP. But I want to know why this man that hit 48 homers not that long ago has 4 homers at the halfway point. I think it's possible our ball players are being paid too much. Not only do I think it's possible, I think it's obvious. So I want you to understand this. When Rob Manfred says in an interview to Dan Patrick that the playoffs are in the sweet spot, what he's really doing is he's completely coasting on his 2 consecutive World Series luck outs. Luck outs. So he can afford to pat himself on the back and not worry if the next 2 World Series are a little bit iffy. But let me remind you that the tournament setup that Major League Baseball uses, it basically ensures the likelihood of not having the 2 best teams in baseball play each other. Now, sometimes the 2 best teams are in the same league, so they're not going to play each other in the World Series. But what I'm talking about is the best team in the National League and the best team in the American League playing each other in the World Series. Rob makes it seem like they've come up with this system that has allowed for the 2 best teams to be in there. So let me take you back to the 2024 World Series. Dodgers, believe they had the most wins in baseball. Yankees, another very strong season. Big, powerful lineup. Well, Dodgers go up 3-0. Everybody's laughing. Yankees come roaring back in Game 4, come roaring back in Game 5, and then give it all away. People were really excited about that series because for a minute, New York fans were starting to get re-involved after they'd gone down 3-0. Once you've lost a series that you're up 3-0, maybe it can help you believe you can win one being down 0-3. For a minute, the Yankees were believing, and then that 5th inning was almost beyond belief. It was a really successful World Series. Dodgers, Yankees, probably the 2 biggest organizations, and the playoff structure looked pretty decent at that point. 2025, LA Dodgers versus Toronto Blue Jays. Great series. Ohtani, shining. Goes down to Game 7. Just as you're about to crown the home team, Toronto Blue Jays, a homer here, a sprinkling there, a great play on defense. Dodgers win their second consecutive World Series. The Toronto Blue Jays were very good last year, arguably the best team in the American League, and they advanced. A lot of people paid a lot of attention to that World Series. So that's 2 in a row. Now, I had to stomach an interview with the great Dan Patrick, as many people call him. And at the end of that interview with Rob Manfred, he says, well, take a victory lap. You deserve it. Basically crowning Rob for giving us another great World Series. Well, let me tell you this. It's not going to keep happening that way. When it comes to baseball, the best team might win 6 or 7 out of 10 games, and the worst team will win 3 out of 10, maybe 4 out of 10, maybe even sometimes 5 out of 10. Now remember, I'm not saying the worst team that made the playoffs. I'm saying the worst team in baseball can do that. They might even win 6 in a row. So our metric for who the best teams are, a little heavier towards the long season, 162 games. Their playoff structure just gives it to enter the tournament and you all have just as good of a chance. They give this micro advantage to a better record by getting an extra home game if necessary. There is such a good chance that you're going to get 2 teams that don't really get your cork a-bobbing. And that's going to be the World Series. Is it going to draw the same numbers that the last 2 did? Almost for sure no. So if we have a lousy World Series and there's a lockout in December, where are we going to be next spring? How's baseball going to be doing? I want you to really think about this and then watch and see what happens. Now, if we have the 2 best teams represented again in the World Series, that's 3 in a row. Rob's going to look pretty good. But not so good teams that kind of got hot. I mean, we're talking about an 87-win team could win 3 in a row against a 106-win team. That can happen pretty easily. Is that for sure who you want to reward with World Series tickets? I'd rather see the best teams go against each other. And I've told people this again and again. I've cracked the playoff code, but no one really wants to see my bracket. So we'll just keep it at that. I'm sitting on the new playoff structure. And maybe at some point, I'll share it. It would ensure that the 2 best teams in each league have a better chance of being in the World Series than what we got now. It's a tournament version. They reported at some point last season that in the Asian markets alone, baseball was up something crazy like 33% in viewership. Well, Ohtani is quite possibly the greatest player of my generation. He's absolutely amazing. I'm just so disappointed he didn't play in a National League era where the pitchers batted, because we would have seen real creativity in how to use this guy. Instead, they change rules. They just lock him in as the DH no matter what he's doing. And then he just hits and pitches. It's not the same. I would have loved to have seen that. But when you have quite possibly the best player in the game and the best player for quite a while, I'm not going to put him above Barry Bonds. I doubt Ohtani's juicing. But if you didn't get to see Bonds every day, you probably wouldn't understand what he was capable of. But if you did look at his numbers, you'd see that he was far more dangerous than anyone in the Pujols range. Anyway, I digress. What I'm talking about here is Ohtani. I understand why you would want to tune in if you're Japanese and a Japanese player is dominating the American baseball leagues. It's going to increase your likelihood to want to check in and watch. But when he starts to get a little bit older, maybe not the best player in the league anymore, do you think that same viewership is going to stay? Are you going to have that same base for loving the game when you played Little League, when you woke up and opened the paper and read the box scores, when you went out and collected baseball cards, when you couldn't wait for spring to start so that you could try out, get out to practice, playing catch with your dad, going to games, going to see those Giants, exchange words with Will Clark. Those are the things that kept me excited about baseball year after year. If you don't have that background, do you think that is going to remain in the Asian market? A guy like Matsui, MVP of the World Series, yeah, great player, but was he getting the whole country to tune in to watch him? Not exactly. It's not easy to be the best player in a given sport. And at some point, Shohei's not going to be what he is now, or currently. You don't just want to lock in, the Asian markets are up, they're going to always continue to be up. But that is Rob's job to convince you of that. We'll just check back in at the end of the World Series and we'll take temperatures and we'll see how everything is. And by New Year's 2027, if we're all still breathing, we're going to see how everyone's feeling about baseball. I'm worried. I'm worried so much I'm rooting against the Giants. Yeah, it's messed up. It's really messed up. For 5 years now, what we've tried to do at Mona Lisa Baseball is give you a different opinion than the only one you're ever going to hear as you search the markets, as you search the media. Baseball is back. It's never been better. It's finally watchable. Now it's exciting. Now you can really support the stars. Everything's in plain view now. It's so much better when everyone makes the playoffs because everyone gets to keep rooting all the way through the season. And I think that is a bunch of hogwash. There's a reason why baseball always had the magic. There's a reason why decade after decade there was something that was just made it the best. It was our pastime. We completely gave up on that. Yeah, let's move this and move that, and you'll see why it's so great, and isn't this exciting, and we're growing the game. Isn't it great to grow the game? Isn't it great? Well, you're not growing the game, you changed the game, and you tried to trick some people into appreciating it. I've been told what I feel is a lie, that every year baseball's popularity's gone up. I just don't feel that. And maybe there was a bit of a train wreck vibe where people said, you know what, I kind of want to see this ABS system. Oh, the crowds are loving this graphic on the screen that says the umpire was right, the umpire was wrong. Isn't this exciting? We get a new thing in baseball to be excited about. And that's what we're excited about, is not the play on the field, but what a computer says actually happened. The humanity in the game is being drained. The umpires are going to have less power in the game every year. What they don't tell you amongst all these changes is that baseball will slowly lose its magic for you. It's not because you're getting older. Getting older has nothing to do with it. You're losing things that made baseball what it was. You can't boo the umpire at a game in the same way you used to. You can't cheer for a close play at the plate at a ball game like you used to, because they're just going to replay it. So no matter how brilliantly the umpire flings his arms to the side and yells, "Safe!" Oh, no, wait. Let's go ahead and confirm that. You'll be able to cheer once we say the runner was safe. And that's as exciting for you? Take your temperature now. See how you're feeling about Major League Baseball right now. And let's take that temperature in a year from now and see how you're feeling about baseball in 2027. Let's see if Vlad has more than 4 homers halfway through the 2027 season. If you agree with the things that we're saying, tell someone to share something with Mona Lisa Baseball. We're right here. We're not going anywhere. I know we've only put out 2 episodes this year, but we've basically put out 100 episodes making our case. Are you sure you want to mess with the beautiful arrangement that worked for decades that Major League Baseball had, or do you want to try to make a perfect game better? Well, that's what they tried to do. Is it working? Do you think it's working? Luckouts. Take a victory lap. The boot went through my forehead. Where are we going to be next spring? It's your team, so you blame them. Really just hope that one doesn't come back to bite us. They tasted the same. It was stated that once you move a few things around and it's not quite flourishing, then the temptation to continue changing things around will continue until you get a house of cards that is not standing anymore.